zoning subdivision. Dylan.
All right, so today you have two resolutions for proposed ordinance amendments, one for the zoning ordinance and one for the subdivision ordinance, both relating to family divisions of land. So they're two separate resolutions. So the first one is our proposed zoning ordinance amendment, which would increase the minimum required lot area for family subdivision lots in A1 agriculture and R1 residential zoning districts from 1 acre to 2 acres. And this was recommended by the Planning Commission to come to the Board of Supervisors 3-2 at their March meeting. So that is the first proposed amendment.
All right. What else? You want to
There's
go
two
on?
separate resolutions, so I didn't know if you wanted to go on separately or together.
This is to authorize a public hearing.
Right. Mr. Reed, do you have any commentary before we authorize public? You were there.
Don't have anything to add on this. I do have some on the second resolution.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get this one sent to public hearing. Mr. Reed.
Move resolution R 2023-25, Nelson County Board of Supervisors authorization for public hearing to amend the code of Nelson County, Appendix A zoning, Article 4, Agricultural District A1, and Article 5, Residential District R1.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Harvey, can you second it? Mr. Harvey seconds it. All those in favor say aye.
Questions.
Oh, do you want to ask a question before we?
So where is this coming from? This is coming from,
So the impetus was
We're in discussion.
updating the subdivision ordinance to allow a family subdivision to be granted to the beneficiary of a family trust.
so this is for, it can only be done through the family, is that?
So that was the impetus for it.
Okay.
And then the planning commission decided they wanted to take a further look at all family subdivisions.
All right, Mr. Harvey, do you have any other, or Mr. Barton, do you have any other comments before we move up?
And just to clarify, this does not deal with trusts. This is just what allows, this came out of the discussion that we had about the trust scenario to increase the size of the petition.
Okay.
Right.
All right, let's do a vote. Yeah, Candy.
Can I ask one question? Maybe Mr. Reed and Dylan can explain the planning commission's thoughts behind going from a 1 acre lot to a 2 acre lot.
It's my understanding that by allowing 1 acre minimum lot sizes, that's effectively creating a non-conforming lot because our minimum lot size regularly is already 2 acres. So after the 5-year period where it's prohibited from being transferred inside the family, it just becomes another lot like any other in Nelson County. So a 1 acre lot would be a non-conforming lot in the A1 district and the R1 district as well. That was my understanding.
So we're gonna have a,
We're having a public hearing and we
Public
can
hearing.
change it after that if we so choose. So I have no issues with sending it to public. All right.
Would what have, Barry?
What would happen if, say someone had to sell?
What he's saying is if someone subdivides it and doesn't make it within that 15 years, they need to generate cash for themselves because an emergency came up. Can they sell it? Is that what you're saying, Mr. Harvey?
Yeah,
After the 15-year period.
But what if, is there any ability for them to sell within that 15-year period? I can't see us making it illegal. There might be a fine or something.
Yes, the planning commission may reduce the period of years prescribed when changed circumstances require. So the planning commission can allow a lower time than 15 years if a circumstance arises.
So they'd have to come to the planning commission and then the board of supervisors to get that permission?
Just the planning commission.
Okay. And if the planning commission denies, does it then go to the supervisors or does it just die there?
If the planning commission denied it, they would have the opportunity to appeal it to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
So then they go to BZA.
Yes.
So to answer your question, not without other mechanisms.
But they could,
Kind of, it's
And
within,
probably would be able to.
It ain't like giving,
it ain't, but the thing, I think the only thing that I would probably agree with Mr. Harvey on is like, it's not that simple. Like, let's say you need to sell your land because of hospital bill or whatever that reality of life is. From the point of a planning commission to a BZA, that could be, BZA means quarterly or as needed.
As needed.
So it could be within 60 days, 90 days.
But if it's an emergency situation, the planning commission would probably take that into consideration. The purpose of this is to not allow, divisions within a trust.
Right.
And then have them end up in the general public for distribution, and all of a sudden it becomes a real estate scenario as opposed to a family scenario, if that makes sense.
Yes.
We're just sending this to a public hearing anyway. We ain't
Right.
deciding today. So I would be supportive of sending this as presented to the public hearing, and then we can decide at that time what we want to do. What's that?
who made the motion?
No one has yet. You want to? Or you want Ernie? All right. Ernie, you're doing a good job, is what Mr. Harvey said.
I can read.
All right.
I move that we adopt resolution R 2023-26, Nelson County Board of Supervisors authorization for a public hearing to amend the code of Nelson County, Virginia, Appendix B subdivisions.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second for Mr. Harvey. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Barton? Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford?
Yes. All right, thank you. Moving on to resolution R 2023-27, personal property tax relief. Candy, is that you?
Yes, yes.
All right, take it away.
And just to clarify, your last action authorized those public hearings for June 13th.
Okay, June 13th, not May.
Not me.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine. Hopefully we don't have a big budget day.
Like it's May.
That would be in the afternoon.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just getting the resolution ready for the screen. But as the board knows, this is an annual responsibility in conjunction with setting the tax rates. The board's charged with setting the personal property tax relief percentage by which the 1.7 million the county receives from the state will be distributed to taxpayers based on the state code 58.1-3524. This resolution is the same every year, other than the percentage specified, which I'm proposing to remain at 39%. This will, as of today's personal property tax edit book, will distribute $1,585,147 of the $1,708,030 in the state PPTRA that we receive. So this will leave about $123,000 for changes in the upcoming fiscal year. So I ask that you all consider adoption of the resolution as presented with the distribution rate at 39%.
All right, any questions for Candy? Hearing none, can we get a motion to approve resolution R 2023-26?
27.
Which one? Wow. What did
I move that we adopt resolution R 2023-27, Nelson County Board of Supervisors, 2023 personal property tax rate.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second from Mr. Hardy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford?
Yes. Moving on to reports. Candy.
Okay. First, reporting on the status of the comprehensive plan. The last of our 4 scheduled joint work sessions of the Board of Supervisors and Planning Commission will be held May 17th at a time to be announced. This will entail review of draft chapters pertaining to land use and transportation. The focus group work session on these topics will be held on April 13th from 2 to 4 p.m. Our county website redesign is moving along. We're at stage 2 of the Nelson County-va.gov website development. The full site framework is set up with completed content organization and finalized site hierarchy and navigation. Well, almost finalized site hierarchy and navigation. All content from the current site is being cleaned and formatted into the new page templates. Edits have begun on HTML and CSS for all imported content, and testing is being done. A timeline for a demonstration to get the board's feedback is being developed currently. Our current website continues to be limited in functionality. I believe you all received a memo from Ms. Kelly kind of detailing some of the formatting of the new website, and she would like to get the board's feedback by Monday, the 17th at noon if possible. The Nelson 151 corridor study, I think Mr. Reed mentioned that earlier that 2 public engagement sessions will be held within the study area, and our first was rescheduled from April 7th, I believe, to April 18th at the Rockfish Valley Community Center from 4 to 6 p.m. An update on the Amherst County Solar Project that staff reported on last month. On March 16th, the Amherst County's Planning Commission held a public hearing on the special exception request by Piney River Solar LLC for a utility scale project on property in Amherst County that adjoins the Virginia Blue Ridge Railway Trail. Their Planning Commission unanimously recommended denial of this request in a 5-0 vote due to viewshed and environmental concerns. Consideration of this special exception now goes to the Amherst Board of Supervisors on May 16th at 7 p.m. The new office building, which PMA is working on, has provided us a timeline from Timmons for the geotech work at the Callow Hill site. The drilling is scheduled for April 21st, which should take approximately 3 to 4 days. Within 7 to 10 days after that, Timmons should have some preliminary boring logs, and then the full report would follow. So based on this, we estimate drilling work to be done by 4/25 and preliminary boring logs done by around May 5th. Hopefully this report will be finalized and provided to county staff and the board in late May or early June, but it's yet to be determined. On the FY24 budget, the board and staff have conducted budget work sessions on March 28th, March 31st, April 3rd, and I forgot April 4th, with other dates to be set at today's regular meeting. Real estate, personal property, mobile home, and machinery and tools tax rates will remain the same as set in 2022. The board and school board have scheduled a joint meeting on April 20th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. just prior to the school board's regular meeting. The board is being asked today to authorize a public hearing on the budget to be advertised and held on the regular May 9th Board of Supervisors meeting at 7 p.m., which you all did authorize earlier in the meeting under the consent agenda. Let's see. The county attorney has drafted proposed ordinance amendments for tax relief as discussed in our budget work sessions. These would provide for real property tax relief for the surviving spouse of any U.S. Armed Forces member killed in action and any veteran who has a 100% service-connected permanent and total disability. These provisions have been enabled by a state code, however, were not provided for in our local ordinances. Staff asked the board to authorize a public hearing on these ordinances at the May regular meeting for potential public hearings in June. As far as the Gladstone Depot TAP grant, we have finally gotten a meeting scheduled with county staff, VDOT staff, Mr. Barton and Mr. Rutherford, and the Friends of Gladstone Depot. This will be on April 18th at 10 a.m. To discuss the project and the draft TAP agreement. The TAP agreement will then be presented for consideration by the full board at a subsequent meeting. The county has been selected by the Office of Intermodal Planning and Investment to receive a GAP Technical Assistance Grant for an Ellis Ford Small Area Development Plan. Planning activities include looking at connectivity of non-motorized networks, And facilities, preservation of natural areas, mixed-use neighborhoods, including mixed housing types with affordable housing to meet the projected family income distribution of future residential growth. Next step is working with OIPI staff to develop a detailed scope of services, at which time the dollar amount of up to $100,000 of assistance will be determined. Another grant award to report on is the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant award. In September of 2022, the board authorized a letter of support for a regional grant application submitted by the TJPDC on behalf of its member jurisdictions, and this was to the U.S. Department of Transportation. TJPDC was notified that it was selected to receive a grant for the development of a comprehensive safety action plan, which will establish prioritized projects and strategies for each locality to effectively reduce roadway fatalities and serious injuries through consideration of policies and procedures, public education, and infrastructure investment. The next step is development of the scope of work by TJPDC with input from member localities. Then the establishment of a regional stakeholders group made up of jurisdictional representatives for project oversight. And then the development of each jurisdiction's goals and targets to be adopted by each of the governing bodies. There's a local match based on a per capita basis of up to $30,000, and this is to be determined for each locality still. In terms of short-term rentals, there's no change from the March report. No change from the March report on the regional library agreement review, and no change from the March report on Renaissance Ridge housing development. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Candy at this time? Mr. Barton?
I don't know if this is the appropriate time. How much of the county is signed up for Firefly now? What percentage, you know?
Oh, man, we just heard a number. It's like 50%.
We did.
Well, percentage signed up, percentage built to their house,
No.
and how many have the service in their home are all three different things.
All right.
I don't think I
What
can,
percentage?
I don't think I can
service?
recite that number at the moment.
I'll
We
look it
can
up.
find
I'll
out.
look it
Because
up.
I'll
I'm
let you
curious, because I don't have it. And, you know,
Right.
I
don't
assume
either,
the
Mr.
people,
Barton.
you haven't?
I do not.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good,
Good.
I'm glad. It's like,
Ain't
when
tough,
your
right?
phone goes out, you hope your neighbor's phone's out too.
Right.
Some of the responsibility is on y'all too. To get your own.
Right, but they're supposed to tell us when they're ready to hook us up.
All
They
right.
haven't done
They did just celebrate their 20,000th connection, I believe, across all the jurisdictions they're working
That's
in.
more people.
It's not just Nelson, but all
That's
their
20,000
their areas. And
that. So I'm really glad you're not hooked up because I'm not hooked up.
I'm not really glad, but we will be soon. One of the statistics that stuck out to me at the celebration event that Mr. Rutherford and I attended was, I believe they said they've laid enough fiber that would stretch directly from Appomattox County to Anchorage, Alaska.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of mind blowing there to me.
We can get that info. They've sent me correspondence, which I'm looking for right now to see if I can find it for you. But we can get that easy enough. Any other questions about Candy's report before we go to board reports?
I have a question. Item I, the Growth and Accessibility Planning Technical Assistance Program. Do you have any additional information on that?
I probably do back in my office. I can send that out.
Yeah, is there any,
If you're interested.
can you elaborate on it at all? I don't know. It sounds interesting and promising, but I don't know the process or the procedure or who participants are and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it just recently got awarded, and I think we're just trying to get our bearings on that. And I think there may be a Zoom meeting scheduled with myself, Dylan, and I think there's a person from OIPI who's designated to our grant. So we're just getting into it. But I can send you all the information I
Yeah, if you
have.
can keep me posted on it, and
Sure,
I might even be interested in participating if that's.
Okay.
All right, one thing I wanted to point out, I just looked up a report we got, Mr. Barton. So service is available today this is in the second paragraph of the Nelson County update we got in February, at all 9,000 plus locations which have electric meters on Central Virginia Electric in Nelson County. Of that, there's about 650 of people who've not been hooked up yet. So that's just the co-op. It does not give numbers on APCO. They had indicated in February they were installing service drops and making final connections in Arrington, Shipman, Finley Mountain, and Williamstown. And there are about 100 people there and 800 pre-registered. So, it sounds like, if I were to guess, they're over 50%. If I were to guesstimate off of how many households we have versus all that, so.
I just was worried that they can see the 1,000 feet of electric line and get to my house and go, whoa, what do you?
Well, I hear rumors if you have an email address, that they go to you first.
I would, but I don't have a.
Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. You have an email. All right. Any other questions for Kenny before we go to board reports? Okay, board reports. Skip, keep going. What are your reports?
Well,
Jail board.
jail board, I reported on last time, we're still working on, architectural, we have allocated the money for that for the architectural program, right, or plan for the new jail. And that's where it's at. And, the workforce thing, they did come to Nelson County last week and they had a job fair that was somewhat successful. That's it.
All right. Mr. Harvey? Mr. Reed?
Um,
Oh, yes, the Service Authority. Report on that in the
Do you have,
RSVP. I'll pull it up.
I was looking for it and couldn't find it.
Here, I got it. Ernie means to report about if you all want to go to the Schuyler Waste. Yeah, it's at the it's at the Walton Museum, the Schuyler Precinct. If you want to go, you have until the 12th to let us know you can go. And that will be on Earth Day, which is what date?
22nd.
It's the 20th. The 20th at 1 p.m. So you'll get an email. So if you want to go, let Candy know so she can let Miss Fitzgerald know.
Sign me up.
All right. So sign Ernie up. I will be there. What else you got?
Thank you for giving my report.
Anything else to report?
That's it.
You went to TJPDC.
I did. You were there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
What was new? Not
Nothing.
much. Yeah, I mean, lot of backslapping from the
Regional. Yeah.
regional housing event, which was great.
We have some members in the audience who also attended that.
Yep.
All right. Like Ernie, I was at the PDC, not much to report there. Housing was a huge topic regionally on what that looks like and the compliments. One of the big pushes, and I couldn't agree more with them, is as we go forward, let's start talking about solutions more so and trying to get more ideas out there to the rural communities and the urban communities. But beyond that, it was really well received. Folks from Nelson County went. Ernie came. You didn't come, Skip. Okay. But it was wonderful. So other than that, I don't really can think of anything else I can report other than most of the stuff we talked about today. So really happy with how far we've gotten in the budget. Hopefully we'll be finalizing that soon. Moving on to appointments if there's nothing else. Amanda, tell us what we got.
We have several folks who do wish to serve again. Now, they have met their term limits. The bylaws do allow them. If there are no other candidates, they can be reappointed for another term. So we'll revisit those next month. But if you have anybody who might be a good candidate, please have them apply.
Great.
I noticed my name on the list and it has a UT next to my name.
You are serving an unexpired term, so you
Okay.
have not served a full first term.
Okay.
Okay.
But I wish to reapply. Okay.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right, correspondence, if there's nothing else. Skip?
No.
Mr. Harvey? Mr. Reed?
Nope.
I got this really lovely letter for our note thanking our staff for showing the Rappahannock County around the courthouse. So I'll give this to you guys. Beyond that, I do not have any correspondence at this time. Let's go on to directives. We're going to start on the left side this time. Ernie?
Nothing.
Skip? Mr. Harvey? Man, where's our attorney? All right. Well, we need a fill.
He's here, the mayor just stepped out for a moment.
Do we want to take a couple minutes before we go into closed session? Why not? 2-minute recess.